These are the 5 cars of high school. Alright, now these guys, you know them. They're the people who have their dad's money backing their car, their insurance, their gas, everything. These guys will be pulling up in Corvettes, Camaros, Mustangs, and you know it's just out of their price range as a teenager. They obviously can't afford these cars, so there's only one realistic conclusion: daddy's money. I guess you can't really fault them for it, but still, like, there's no reason you need to be pulling up in a sports car at the age of 17. 0 out of 10.
I'm the Osiris of this shit!
Now these guys, they just take their mom's car, and honestly there's not really much shame in this one. You're just taking your mom's car, you live far away from the school, and you want to get to school. You know, maybe they're paying insurance halfway, but maybe they're not. Who knows, who cares? At the end of the day, it's not their car. They don't treat it like their car. They just take it from point A to point B. These cars will usually just be like SUVs, minivans, soccer mom cars, you know, nothing too extravagant. A good tell for this one is when they have the stick figure families on the back window of their car. It's usually a dead giveaway. But all in all, 6 out of 10. These guys are similar to the mom cars. Basically, they do have their own job and they're working hard. They don't have the best looking car, but they do own it. They pay insurance on it and they do gas. These kids were the true kids in high school that were actually going to become something in life. And I know most of them that I remember from back in the day are now doing something pretty good with their lives, so hard work pays off. 7 out of 10.
Let's take it back to 79!
Now these kids in high school were a little bit off the hinge. I mean, they were basically driving broken down hoopties at this point. They didn't have license plates on their cars. They still have a sawed off boot in the trunk. And this car wasn't paid with by no 9 to 5. However, they do own it. These cars were not insured though, don't get me wrong, alright? If these guys got pulled over by the cops, they were done for. What they'd have to do is they'd have to drive as carefully and as cleanly as possible. If there was someone ahead of you at a stop, you let them go ahead of you. You don't want any smoke. And you might be asking yourself, how do you know so much about this? Well, these were my friends. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't buying anything off of them, but these were the guys I rolled with because it was easy to get a ride off them. They were always going around the city and hitting the best spots. So it all worked out for me in the end. 4 out of 10. Now this is personally how I got to school. I'd take a skateboard, ride down to the school, put it in my locker, and go to class, right? And some kids, they had to ride bikes. They'd ride from their house all the way to school, lock it up at the front, and leave it for the day. That was a little bit more risky because you could get that stolen. There goes a $200, $400 bike. I swear, at one point there was even a kid who owned one of those little mopeds, and it was just funny to see him pull up in school and lock it up at the front. I always thought it was going to get stolen, but I guess it's pretty hard to steal a moped if you don't have the key, so I guess he was pretty safe. So you know what? 10 out of 10. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Here's the rankings if you really cared, but other than that, I'll see you in the next one, and have a good day.